Right, let's take an example. So there was a survey conducted for 50 randomly selected students regarding mathematics and science tuition, and the information is given. So 30 don't participate for math tuition, could be because of corona. So 10 students don't participate for any, and the number of students participating for only science is 5 greater than the number of students participating for both subjects. So these are information that we have been given, and we've been asked to draw a Venn diagram and answer some questions. So okay, it would be good if we can pause the video and do maybe a rough answer for this question before we continue. Right, let's do this. So the first question is represent this information in a Venn diagram. The first information we know is that the size of the universal set. We have been given 50 randomly selected students. So first we can draw the universal set like this, rectangle, 50 people. Next, what do we know? We also know that 30 students did not participate in mathematics tuition and 10 didn't participate in any. So what are the two types of tuition? Maths and science. So we need to have two sets, one for maths and one for science. And because they say there are people who are participating for both subjects, so we can draw sets that are interlapped like this. So M represents mathematics tuition, S represents the set of people who are working only on science tuition, and the middle represents both. So what's the next information? Next, we know the 30 students did not participate for math tuition, which means this is maths. So the area outside M dash or the complement of A is 30, which means that those people who did not participate in either maths or science or only science, so that is 30. And then also what we know is 10 students don't participate in any subject, which means the number of students outside is 10. So we can make the following adjustment. So there are 10 who did not participate in any. Now we know that 30 did not participate in maths, which means 10, and if 10 is outside, the rest should be this particular region, which is 20, because 20 plus 10 is 30. Right. What else do we know? So let's go back to what we know. The third point, the number of students participating only Third point, the number of students participating only for science tuition is 5 greater than the number of students participating for both subjects. So we know the number of students participating for only science, which is 20. So then we can say if this number is 5 greater than this, number of students participating for both subjects is 15. So now we almost completed the Venn diagram, and we know this is 15, 20, 10, so we can even fill this as 5. So let's look at the answers at a more simple form. Right, so this is the Venn diagram, and it's better to also represent what you should represent what the meaning of the set is. So M is the students participating only for maths tuition, not only for maths, students participating for maths. S is students participating for science. And we can also get the number of people. So number of students for M complement is given as 30, which was the number one information we get. 30 students don't participate for maths tuition, which means M dash 30, and accordingly which do not participate in either maths or science, 10, which do not participate, those who participate only for science is 5 greater than those participants for both subjects. So the intersection, this represents the people participating for both, and this only for science. So is 5. So these are the information that they have been given. You have been given. So okay, what's the second question? How many students participate for both subjects? As we found from the Venn diagram, it's 15. But just writing 15 is okay. Sometimes there might be some calculation errors and you might get a mistake in the answer. So it's better to represent by writing it. So the number of students who participate only in science is not maths and science. So only in science is equal to, we know 5 plus both. So we know this number as 20 because we found it. And then 5, so sorry, this is a small printing mistake. So this is the number of students participating for both, and thus we can say this is 15. Then how many stars participate for maths only? 15 plus 20 plus 10 plus this portion should be equal to 50. So that we know, which means only for maths is 50 minus 15 minus 20 minus 10, which gives you us 5. So how many students do not participate for science? So the science students are this Venn diagram. You know that this is 5 plus 10 is 15. So how do you get that? Only for science is 20. The science students are 35. Not science students are 50 minus 35, 15. So how many students participating for only one subject? So maths only we got 5. Science only we got 20. So maths only we got 5. Science only 20. Together 25. That's the answer for the example. So let's consider an example with 3 subsets within the universal set. So there can be different ways. For example, it could be 3 joint sets like this, or it can be 3 subsets. C is a subset of B, B is a subset of A, or it could be 3 disjoint sets. So you can see that there are different ways you can that even if it's just 3 subsets, there are different ways it can be located. So let's now consider the most common case, 3 joint sets. So as we did before, what would be A intersection B intersection C? The region that is common to all 3, which is this. A intersection C, the region that is common to A and C, this particular part. A intersection C, intersection B dash. We already know A intersection C, this part. What does that intersect with? B dash, or the complement of B, which means this particular part, because it excludes B. C intersection A union B dash. So first let's look A union B dash. A union B dash, or the complement, is everything except for this part, and intersection C. So what intersects with C and A union B dash is this particular part. A union B union C is the entire thing, just like we did A union B. Together, all the union means all together, and the complement of the whole thing would be this particular region in the universal set, excluding these 3 sets. A union B intersection C dash. So A union B is this whole thing. C dash, C is this. So the complement of C is everything else. So the intersection of those 2 are this particular region. Finally, A intersection B union B intersection C union C intersection A. So A intersection B is this. B intersection C is this. C intersection A is this. So the whole thing union is together all those. So that brings us to the end of the tutorial. So let's just have a brief recap. So first we look at what was a set. Set was, we define it as a collection of well-defined distinct objects, or a collection of elements. So it can be described in several ways. The descriptive method, as we said, was just describing it in words. And the method of listing elements. So what elements belong to this set? We list it out. The Venn diagram, as we did with the set name, the Venn diagram containing all the elements, or the set builder method. So in the set builder method, we said there are several ways of describing. So, and when we read it, we can read such as x is x such that x is an even number between 0 and 10. And it can be, as we said, we can be doing in different ways. This is one way of saying this 2, 4, 6, 8. Another way is presented as an equation. So there are different ways of doing it. And we look at another example. Then we look at the regions in a Venn diagram. So we describe this, the universal set, and then all the sets within it are subsets of the universal set. So A is a subset of the universal set. So if this particular region is A, the complement of A, represented by A dash, is the region that belongs to the universal set, which does not belong to A dash, the blue color region. So as I said before, the universal set, all the sets are subsets of the universal set. And the universal set does not mean everything. It can be limited. For example, in this particular example, the universal set is from 1 to 9. And A is from 3, 6 and 9. And we can get the complement as well. So then we look at two subsets. So if there are two subsets, it could be either join or disjoin. So if there are no common elements for both sets, we call it the A intersection. Okay, we talked about intersection and union. Intersection is what is common for both, and union is the union, or the all the elements belonging to both subsets. So in this case, there are no common elements, so it can be written as a null set. What is a null set? Null set or an empty set is a set which has no elements. So A, we can see there are common elements. So A intersection B is not a null set. And we looked at several displays of Venn diagrams: A intersection B, a union B, a union B complement, as you can see. Then we went to an example. So as you can see, the example B, this is the universal set, and A is this B, and we can then get the A intersection B, a union, and all the notations we need. So then we looked at the relationship between the number of elements. Now if these two sets were disjoint, meaning there were no common elements, then the number of elements of A union B would be the number of elements of A plus number of elements of B, as we proved. But if there are common elements, when we are adding those, we add the middle part, this intersection part, twice, which means it needs to be subtracted from the total set, the total sum. So the number of elements in the A union B set is equal to the number of elements in A plus the number of elements in B minus, and subtract the middle portion, the common element portion, which is A intersection B. And we say that we can still get this equation from this, because when A intersection B is null, like this, which means is an empty set, so the number of elements in an empty set is 0, which would give in A intersect union B is equal to NA plus NB, this particular equation. So we looked at an equation example, so I hope you did this, of how 50 different students participate in a survey, and then we answer the questions. So the mathematics tuition, science tuition, people who attended, people who didn't attend, based on this, who attended only for maths and for science. So we looked at those questions, and then finally considered a triple set, which we just so there are 3 subsets in a universal set, can be in different forms. And then we looked at how these notations can be done by looking at the shaded region which corresponded to the given notation. So that's it, and thank you. I hope you learned something from it.